Life is full of work and stress. Parenting can be a mess. Being a woman is hard enough without adding on that extra stuff. We'll cover topics of every kind. Helpful resources we will find. We'll even drink a bottle of wine. Join us. It will be a real good time.
Hi, I'm Amanda,
And I'm Nikki.
and welcome to Working Mom's Wine, where we drink a bottle of wine.
And whine about perimenopause.
Mhm. Nothing else. Every
Nothing
episode
else.
is perimenopause.
It's all probably technically kind of interrelated.
If you're a
Because
working dad who whines, you can skip this one unless you want to understand your wife better.
your ability to manage all of the crazy, stressful, busy working mom life stuff relies on this a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I've got another Adam Gupta.
Ooh.
Judge's Heir.
Judge's Heir.
The legacy of fine winemaking started with Adam Gupta in 1855. This was reborn years later by the Honorable Judge Randy Gupta. Judge's Heir is the next evolution of that heritage entrusted to Adam's descendants in the aftermath of the Prohibition. A medium-bodied dry red, rich with dark fruits, plum, leather, cedar, and well-integrated tannins. Much better than the dry rosé. I think I'm just not a dry rosé person.
There's bound to be ones you don't like along the way. So today we whine about perimenopause. Every woman will go through it, some earlier than others. It can start as soon as your 30s. It can wait until your 40s. It's different for everybody, and you don't need a test to know if you're in it. You just
I already have a
start
question,
watching for symptoms. What?
Because brain fog is a symptom, but also every time you have a kid, they say that equals to 7 years of brain fog. So if you can have it as early as your 30s and you're still having kids in your 20s to 30s, how do you know which one is which?
Well, they're all interrelated because it's all about your hormones. And
Cool.
It's either that your hormones have swapped up massive because you just had a kid and you have brain fog, or it's because you're starting to go through changes and your hormones are going wackadoo on you.
Why weren't my changes done with puberty?
They cause the same symptoms because it's the same wackadoo system in your body that gets messed up. Your hormones.
Yay. Endocrine?
Yeah.
Is that
I think
hormones?
that's it, yeah. I don't know. I'd have to Google it. Because I have brain fog.
I was going to say that.
Major brain fog. I used to be able to remember so many things easy. And now I forget them at the drop of a hat. I have to take copious notes and keep copious notes about things at work because I will forget the simplest things. And I could do it 1,000 times and I still have to go look up to make sure I'm doing it right each time because it's not there. My recall isn't there. My fatigue is huge and my hot flashes are ridiculous. It's not to the point where you see...
she pulls her fan out.
Yes. As you see people in the movies and they're drenched in sweat and uncomfortable. But I get hot. I get heat waves. And I have night sweats. So I'll wake up and it's freezing and I'm under my blankets because I'm cold, but I am sweating profusely. My PJs are wet. So it's not fun.
So here's a perhaps related question, perhaps not. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to get a little too real with the audience. Every summer, and you can't see it right now because I have put makeup on the creases of my neck, it gets real red, irritated, itchy. Is that potentially related? Because last year I went to a doctor, got a couple different, at first they were like, maybe it's a yeast thing, and they tried some medication for that, but it dried things out too much and made it worse. I actually did that thing where you send ChatGPT a picture the other day, and it was like, you've got a thyroid surgery scar, and I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah, it can be because your hormones can be very related to how much you sweat or not. And it sounds like you need the Mega Babe powder.
What is
But
mega? I'm looking that up now. That sounds
hold on, I
intense.
have it.
Do you?
Baby powder. But it comes in this little
Okay.
pump bottle, and you can put it anywhere you sweat. So like under your bra line, in
Yeah.
your shirt, at your stomach line, but along your neck too,
Mm,
because you can rub it in. But it's supposed to help kind of absorb it being too moist, which is the problem that
interesting.
you're having. Personal hygiene is important during perimenopause because everything will change. I've
Yeah,
used
I might
natural
have to try
deodorant
that.
for years and been fine. Never smelled. You sweat more, but that's the point. You don't want the
Yeah.
aluminum that's going to block your sweat from coming out because you
Yeah.
want to get rid of that
Well, and
stuff.
there's a difference between deodorant and antiperspirant in general. Antiperspirant
Yes.
stops the sweat. Deodorant
Yeah.
just helps manage the smell.
Right. And so I was using natural stuff for years and doing great until about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And suddenly, it didn't matter how much I put on or how often I put it on, I could smell myself within like an hour or two of putting it on. And I was like,
Yeah.
what is happening? But only on the left side, which is when I learned that that's where your toxins sweat out, is your left armpit.
Why
Not
only the
both,
left?
but your left. There's like a lymph node there or something, if I remember right. I probably
Weird.
don't remember right because I have brain fog. But look it up. It's interesting.
That is really
And because I
interesting for
was like
sure.
always noticing that it was this side that smelled. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why? And then I found that out and I was like, oh, if I'd heard that anywhere else, I'd probably think that was BS. But because
Yeah.
I smelled myself only on one side for
Right,
so
like
long,
you
I was like,
experienced it.
that makes sense. So I
Huh.
had to switch back to the horrible for you kind of deodorant. And now, because I've been on the natural stuff for so long, wearing that other stuff makes me itchy. So it's like I have to do like 2 days on, 1 day off, like switch between the two. It's getting ridiculous, guys.
That's interesting.
I'm telling you. Probably TMI, but I'm gonna put it on the internet anyway. Too many don't talk about it and don't know. And I only know some of this stuff because people are starting to talk about it and share information, and that's how we get through it. So, as far as some resources, there's some great people talking about stuff on TikTok, but the woman that I trust the most with information is Dr. Mary Claire Haver, Haver. She has wrote,
Hold up.
written,
I have to say one thing.
what?
Judge's Air is a chocolate wine.
Oh,
So much better when you're eating chocolate with it.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But continue.
Okay. So Dr. Haver wrote a book called The New Menopause, and it's very detailed. She is an OBGYN who realized as she started going through perimenopause that nothing in her medical school training taught her anything she needed to really know about this. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
problem a lot of women have had for many years, is that even though you're seeing an OB, they have no clue about how to handle this or treat this. They basically say, oh, you're in the change, have fun dealing with it, and like that's the end of it. And then for a long time, the hormone treatment came out, and that was demonized for a long time. And a lot of the stuff they claimed about that really isn't true. We found out, so like it's not cancer causing to get hormone replacement therapy and things like that. So lots of new information out there. She's wrote very detailed information in this book. She also has a Substack, and she's on social media, and she shares a lot of things just for free about supplements and HRT and what you can do to not be miserable.
I had not heard
Um,
about perimenopause until you started making jokes about it. I was like, what? What is this?
you have to laugh about it, otherwise you'll go insane.
Mm-hmm. What's the clinical definition? Is it just premenopause, menopause?
Yeah, it's just pre-menopause. So it's the signs and symptoms that lead up to menopause, which is the loss of your menstrual cycle. So it's not menopause until you
Every
quit
day I
having a
hope for
period.
it.
I don't know. It sounds like it's pretty miserable. The other
I
things
know,
that
it
come
really
with it.
does.
And even just things like prolapse and all the things that can
Nope, stop
happen.
talking about that.
Yeah, it's not pleasant. Did you know? Okay, you might not want to put this in the podcast, but I just read the other day that if when you go through the change, you lose your sex drive a lot of times and things dry up. So you're not having sex. And if you go long enough without having sex, that your um, vulva will shrink back up. Like when you were a kid and you didn't have them hanging out,
How interesting.
Mm-hmm. And I thought, how can that be? Because there are people that are single for years and are fine. I've got this app that, ladies, you should check it out because some employers will cover this app as part of your insurance benefits, which is how I have it. It's called Maven, Maven, and they have different
Okay.
paths. You can use it if you're trying to have a baby and maybe you're struggling with fertility issues. You can use it if you're just a woman going through life and trying to understand your cycle better. But they also have one version for perimenopause and menopause. And
Interesting.
basically you can meet with all these coaches and they can kind of guide you in the right direction and provide education to you and help you find providers that are in network with your insurance to go and see locally. But I've met with a nutritionist. I have an appointment with an OB to talk about HRT. They had a physical fitness person you can meet with, so you can start learning like how to adapt your exercise routine, your nutrition, your wellness. They have like mental health wellness coaches
Okay.
available. So it's like everything in one little app on your phone.
What are the main symptoms?
Main ones I hear about are things like fatigue, brain fog, more easily irritable, IDGAF,
Isn't
changes
that
to
like
your
every day
relationships,
though?
to your patients. Uh, it gets worse, like notably worse. Night sweats, heat waves, um, dryness in certain areas that you haven't experienced before.
Hmm.
It can you can see sudden changes to like sudden hair loss and acne and things like that again. Just
Yeah.
think about anything that your hormones would affect, and those are kind of the general symptoms. They say
Okay.
you don't really have to get a test to prove anything, and it's hard to do it that way anyway because no matter what stage you're in, your hormones fluctuate as a woman throughout the month. So you'd have to be testing
That's fair.
frequently and consistently to see where you are for a while at any stage of the month and then to compare it to where you're at now. But basically, if you
Yeah.
have these general symptoms that you could just Google and see, you'll know, I'm starting to be in there or not. But a lot of times it's changes to your cycle too, like the the frequency is off or the heaviness or the amount of clots and that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
which I've definitely noticed as well. I've had some major changes there. So it's like, okay, I should probably be looking into HRT and figuring that out, which I guess is why I went on the app to begin with. But
Yeah,
so far,
that's
I've
I'm
only met
glad
with
you
a
brought that up
nutritionist. So,
because I have to um I have a doctor appointment at the end of this month, I think it is, and so now
Mhm.
I know to like talk to them about it.
There are a lot of doctors that aren't super educated on it too. So if you go to Dr. Haver's website, I believe she has a network of people she recommends that like are more trained and knowledgeable on the topic, especially if you're
Hmm.
considering HRT. But there's also different programs out there. Find some people on social media, find some Facebook groups. Make sure you're seeing a doctor who knows about HRT and doesn't just blow you
Yeah.
off when you start listing your symptoms. That's how you know
Yeah.
you've got somebody good. But there are people like Dr. Haver out there who can help guide you to good providers and things like that. So
Awesome.
check that out.
As always, thanks for joining us on Working Moms Wine. You can find us on all the socials as Working Moms Wine. Feel free to give us a like or a subscribe or whatever it is they do on Spotify. And if you have any tips on perimenopause or anything you have found that's helpful to you, or maybe a story on how you found out that you were in the middle of it, feel free to leave that in the comments. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.